Welcome to the Read Your Keys podcast. I am your host, Joel Lopez. If you're enjoying the content, please like, smash, squish, subscribe to those follow buttons. We're on Spotify, iTunes, and YouTube. Today, I have on my guest, Mr. Joey Yochheim. Yochheim? How you
Yochheim,
say
you're
it?
close. You're close.
Yochheim? Not
Yochheim,
even
you're close.
close. Sorry,
You're
man.
close. I've heard it all, man. I've heard it all.
It's Mexican in me. We don't do these. We don't do these names. You can find him on Twitter at Joey Yochheim and at Yochheim. Sorry, JoeyYochheim, COO of the Default Kings. Love Default Kings.
Oh, yes.
Building to 1 million a year, led 212 men to become lean and confident Default Kings. My man Joey. Welcome, brother.
What is going on, man?
My man's
Thank
got
you for
the
having me.
American flag hat on.
Absolutely.
He's ready to be a dad.
Absolutely. I got to rep my patriotism. I'm down in Florida now, man. I got to brandish it as much as I can.
Down in Florida. So I got Joey on. I know Joey personally, so we're gonna talk like normal. Joey just moved. Big move. So Joey, where did you just move from, and where did you move to?
Yeah, so I grew up a little bit west of Cleveland, Ohio, so about 30 minutes west. I went to school about 30 minutes east of Cleveland, John Carroll University. I'm still a proud Blue Streak, even though I didn't finish. I'm still a proud Blue Streak. And then just last, I guess 2 Saturdays ago, it was July 2nd, moved down to Orlando to be closer with my business partners, Mr. Jack Bly, Gabe Pluguez. So all the way down here from Cleveland, Ohio, man, and then Orlando, Florida.
A big change going from Cleveland. You think snow, miserable cold, to sunny Florida.
Oh, yeah.
Orlando. You basically went from a place where you'd never vacation to a place that people go to vacation to. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. It's funny to me, too, because I get down here and everybody's talking about, they'll complain about the heat. And to me, I'm like, dude, I'm so happy it's hot here. Because 6 months out of the year where I'm from, being right off Lake Erie, north, pretty much as far north as you can go, literally Canada on the other side of Lake Erie, it's cold 6 months out of the year.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, I love the heat, man.
Yeah.
Give me the humidity, give me the heat, give me the sunshine. I don't care.
Right.
Like,
yeah, people don't realize that coming from, like, I guess wherever you come from, right? You kind of want the opposite sometimes. Like if you're in the heat, you'd be like, dang, I like, snow sounds real nice about right about now. But the thing with the heat is that you don't have to shovel it. Like, because it's hot as balls here too. Like it's 110, 115. Like you got to turn the air on before you get in the car, or else you can burn yourself with your seatbelt because it's like like that hot. But like you don't got to shovel. I don't have to shovel anything. I don't have to scrape off my windshield for the snow. I don't have to shovel my driveway or wait for the stuff to get plowed. It's like, you just drive. You see a lot of blown out tires here though, like people who had who didn't have old tires, so you'll see them on the freeway. It's like, oh man, like that sucks. Yeah. But going back to I gotta ask, being in Cleveland, and you're younger, is Bone Thugs and Harmony? Do they still talk about them over there in Cleveland? Like, oh yeah, Bone.
No, I've never even heard of that, man.
Never heard of them?
No, I've never heard of that.
That's crazy.
Tell me.
That's why
I'm a youngin', man. There's the gap. I might not know.
That's why I knew. That's why they put Cleveland on the map for rap.
Really?
That's what we knew them. Bone. Okay. Oh, they're from Cleveland, son. But yeah, that's
LeBron
funny.
Got that done.
That's how old I am. That's funny.
I figured
Never
LeBron
mind.
was the Cleveland pinpoint, Mr. LeBron. That was always
my
thought.
That's it. Accurate. But we'll strike that from the record. I'm dating myself now. So you go from being in Cleveland, you meet Jack and Gabe. Like, how did you guys meet?
That's a really cool story. So how I got into the Twitter space, I was in the middle of, I believe it was my sophomore year of college. I believe I was in the middle of it. So it's towards the end of the first semester. And a buddy of mine that I played college soccer with at Carroll had the idea of, why don't we start an online business? He knew I was doing personal training. I was working with athletes. My internship at the time was working with a performance enhancement specialist locally in the Cleveland area, Mr. Tim Robertson. It's one of my first mentors ever. I love that guy. He's amazing. But anyways, my buddy had the idea of why don't we start selling training programs? Why don't we start doing online training? And at the time, for me, I was like, no, dude, I don't want to do that. Like business, I don't know anything about that. And he's like, well, I can handle the business side of things. You just fulfill the service. And I was like, okay, that could work. Right. So we started messing around with that. We were dabbling with it. And a guy that he went to high school with, which there's probably a lot of Twitter listeners here, is Mr. Alex from Closify. And he was a really good friend of my buddy. And so he told me, you should talk to Alex. He's going to tell you about how this works. He works with some fitness coaches in the space, and he's really going to break it down for you. So we started working a lot with Mr. Alex from Closify. He's crushing it now. He's been fantastic. In the first 8 months, that January to August, we ended up making $0. Like $0. Of course, we didn't know what we were doing. Right? We didn't know what we were doing.
8 months, huh?
Yes, 8 months, $0, still grinding away at it. My partner and I, we ended up going our separate ways. But I ended up staying really close with Alex, and Alex told me I needed to reach out to Jack and Gabe and really just have mentors, right? Like have somebody that's already crushing it in the space that I want to get into that can show me the way. Mm-hmm. And at that time, that's when I started just commenting on Jack and Gabe's stuff. I was just like a super fan for a while. I was like commenting.
Reply guy.
Yeah, exactly. Total reply guy. And then finally Jack and I ended up connecting via DM. We got in a little Zoom call, talked. And I just told him I wanted guidance. I told him what I wanted, and he offered to give it to me, to mentor me, give me guidance in the space, help me start my own business from there. And after that, kind of the rest is history. We ended up hitting it off. It was a really good relationship. And I think that started in like September-ish. And then going all the way until about February of this year is when it finally advanced to coming on as a co-owner of Vigor Gains with Jack and Gabe. And really stepping into a bigger role with them, moving to head of fulfillment. So really the mentorship was amazing. It was obviously more than I could have ever expected it to be. And we ended up becoming really best friends. I mean, him and Gabe are my two closest friends. That's what it evolved into.
So when you before you got like put on, what were you, was it just strictly a mentorship, or were you like running like sales for them or running sales calls?
It was mentorship. It was directly intended to help me build my own business, do my own thing, not even attached with them, just doing my own thing.
Oh, okay.
And yeah. So that's what the original intent of it was, but we just had such a good relationship. We connected so well. And obviously I was very responsive to his coaching. Again, like Jack, I think I put out a tweet the other day. It was like Jordan had Jackson, right? Dyson had Customato. I had Jack Y, right?
Yeah,
that's
right.
really how it felt. That's really how it felt to me. And again, him being, I had Alex from Closify helping me the first 8 months of business, but then stepping into a mentee role with Jack, where it was very, very hands-on and like, this is what we're going to do, apply this stuff and it'll work. And it started to work. And then it was just evolved from there.
What's interesting is like, so the show is Read Your Keys, and I've kind of told the story a few times. Like I played football, and I really wanted to be good at it, but and I had been playing for a few years. I get to high school, we get some new coaches. I'm already going to be like on varsity, so I think I kind of know like, hey, what's what. But I was on the scout team, and I'm running against the first offense, and like one of the coaches is like watching me, and he's like, hey, come over here. He's like, I want you to just like watch the guards, and then wherever they go, like I want you to follow them. And I was like, all right, because that's up to that point. Basically, it's like my strategy is like see ball, find ball, go get ball. Like that's basically it.
Right.
And then so now it like made things like so much smaller for me, and it was like, okay, you want me to read the guards? Okay, he goes this way. I follow along. I was like, oh, what do you know? The ball's over here. This is kind of cool. And I do it again for like a couple other plays, and I was like, what else do you know? Like, and so like, it would give me more. So like it made things like so much smaller and made me like so much more effective, that it's just like, if you want to be good at something and you find somebody who can do that for you, where it's just like, hey, I want to make money online doing fitness stuff. And I've been like, spinning my wheels trying to make this thing happen, and I'm getting no traction. I take some simple guidance from you, or in hindsight it's simple, but like you've kind of seen the game, like, because this coach, like he'd gone to like hundreds of hours of clinics, and he's giving me distilling it to for me in like a one quote, follow the guards. Like for you, like that, like I know what that feels like. Where it's like, dang, I want something really bad, and then like my boy Jack hooked me up and told me what to do, and now the dough's not rolling in, but it's like, oh dang, that worked. Like
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for something like this like for so long. I didn't know that I was this is what I was looking for. Like so like that, like that resonated because I know you and Jack, and when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's so sweet that that you that you honor him, because I mean he's not that much older than you, but that you give him honor because he's helped you out so much. Like that's one of the things I really do love about you, is that you give honor to people who who help you, or just people who you appreciate. Like you're so good at that, and it's just really refreshing, because like I dated myself earlier, but like I think that's something that I didn't kind of like I kind of like didn't have either. Like like I would honor people, but not like you do, and I think it's just like super refreshing to see that. So making the point that mentors matter, but also that you give honor to them, and you give it like freely, and it's really cool to see, and that's really one of the things I really do love about you, Joey.
No, I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate that. And, I think where that comes from for me is just the simple fact that they don't have to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Alex from Closify, it actually is a full circle moment. About a month ago, we partnered with his company to help us scale, right? So to
Mm-hmm.
get a sales team going and everything, because that's what he does. And so it was a full circle moment. But up until that point, he was just helping me out of the kindness of his heart.
Mm-hmm.
I gave Alex nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, like helping me out of the kindness of his heart,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like these are guys that they did not have to do anything for me. They chose to.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, that's something personally, it's like, I don't know how I could ever repay that, because
Mm-hmm.
genuinely these two guys specifically are the ones that changed the trajectory of my life by being
Mm-hmm.
connected with them. How, to me, in my mind, it's like, I don't even know how that's repayable, other than just having the loyalty, having the honor, and truly, truly in my heart, like Alex, Jack, Gabe, these are guys that like I would die for 100%
Mm-hmm.
because of the things that they've done for me.
Mm-hmm.
They've changed my life, truly.
Yeah.
And I think the big lesson that I've told a lot of people with mentors is you're buying back time. You don't have to go through all the failures they went through. And when you hire a mentor, when you have somebody in place that is mentoring you, they're going to share with you what has worked and what hasn't. And that way
Mm-hmm.
you don't have to go and do the stuff that didn't work and waste time. I
Mm-hmm.
talked to Zach Homo about this in Austin a few months ago, and he told me, he was like, that was the best thing you could have ever done, is get with Jack and Gabe,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been in the game for 3-4 years already. In 1 year, you're going to learn what took them 3-4 years to learn. You're going to learn it
Right.
in 1 year, because you just
Right.
skip it, jumped ahead.
Yeah.
Literally by having them in place, it allowed me to skip ahead 3-4 years. And
Yeah.
that's where I see truly the value of mentors. And I push this on everybody. My dad is somebody, he's talked about getting into real estate. And I'm like, hire a real estate mentor.
Mm-hmm.
I know they're out there. I don't know any
Yeah.
personally, but I know there's some out there. There has to be. If we
Yeah.
went looking for one, we could find one. And the reason I tell them that is because you're going to advance yourself so far, because you're literally buying their failures so you don't have to go through them.
Yeah.
So truly, think about the coaching with you. The stuff that you've told me is stuff that when the day comes that I'm engaged, I'm married, I have kids, the communication skills we've learned and the stories you've shared with me from your own experience is stuff that I can apply. I don't have to go through it now,
Mm-hmm.
right? I can just apply it directly because of the stuff I've learned with you, right? So I'm always thinking of mentorship and coaching as an opportunity to buy myself back time and skip the failures,
Yeah.
right?
That's just super wise, man. Like it really is. Like sometimes like I think people like you can see things, and it's evident to you, and it's not evident, but it's not evident to other people. And that's why I think we get along so well, because I've always kind of been that way. Like I had a big brother, and well, I have a big brother, but it was always like he did this and he got in trouble. Like I'm not gonna do that. Like
Yeah,
so it was
yeah,
just like like
exactly.
why am I gonna do that? And I'm
Yeah,
not like naturally rebellious or anything anyway, but like that was always like he was my first mentor. Like, oh, he does this, like that works, like, oh, okay, I'll do that. Or like that didn't work out so good for him. I'm gonna skip that. And so I've always had kind of had that approach. I think what's really cool is that with like social media, the internet, whatever, Twitter for sure, because Twitter's the one like that I use. But that's like so much more evidence. Like if you want to find a mentor in something, like you could probably find them somewhere
100%.
on Twitter. Like right, like 20 years ago, if you wanted a fitness mentor, you probably would have had to go found to a local gym somewhere within like a half hour to 1 hour radius of Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you freaking found one across the country.
Yeah.
Like that is amazing. That is amazing. Like
Yeah.
you found like your like so I've met Joey, Gabe, and Jack in person. These dudes are tight. I was jealous. I was jealous of you guys because it was like you guys found like your crew, but
Mm-hmm.
you guys are value oriented. So Joey's goal, Jack, Gabe, they want to build $1 million a year business. But that's just the byproduct of them helping people because these guys have a strong desire to help each other, and they're all in alignment of like helping the men that they are coaching, that they're mentoring, and that is like all evident, and like that is like when you find something like that, it's like, dude, you hold on to that. But that's why when I talk about like, that you honor and you do all these things, it's like that all comes together, and that's why I like all three of you guys are just like, man, I'm blown away by you guys. I really am. Like
Yeah, I
it's so
appreciate
cool
it.
that you guys found each other, but then that you guys like that you made the effort. It's not a small thing to leave the place that you've lived your whole life to go to a new place. Like a lot of people do it, but they don't realize that there's a cost to that. I mean, you have your family back in Cleveland,
Mm-hmm.
you know, boys that you probably grew up with back
Yeah.
there, and it's maybe some of it's like, oh, you're gonna you're leaving us for your new guys, but it's just like, hey, I'm not leaving, but there, you know, there's a chance to create something special, and that's not something that you disregard lightly, and then hopefully your friends understand. I'm sure they do, just because if
Yeah.
they know you, it's like, hey man, like, yeah, Joey, go chase, brother. But I'm sure that wasn't was it an easy decision for you to leave?
I'd say yes.
Yeah.
I'd say it was because it was such a no-brainer opportunity in my
Mm-hmm.
mind that it was a no-brainer. Obviously, the hard part comes with exactly what you're talking about, relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I think a big part of the reason Jack, Gabe, and I are so close and we're so aligned is not only do we have the same vision, like, yes, let's get this company to $1 million a year. We're right there.
Mm-hmm.
We're like a month
Mm-hmm.
out from that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's not only that. It's not only the vision. It's also the values. How are we going to get there? How are we going to
Mm-hmm.
get there? It's serving men. It's
Mm-hmm.
helping men achieve truly excellence in every area of life. Fitness, communication, etc., relationships. So it's not only the value or the vision, but it's the values. How are we going to get there? And we have those aligned, and that's what makes us so powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Now, going back to what you're talking, your original question, was like, was it hard? I say it was a no-brainer decision. It was hard. It was hard to rip the Band-Aid off and do it,
Mm-hmm.
mostly because of family, right? I think what
Yeah.
you're talking about with old homies and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where it's like the vision just doesn't align anymore. And that doesn't
Mm-hmm.
mean they're bad people. I had this
Right.
discussion with Matt Moore and his community Elevate last night, where it doesn't mean they're bad people, right? My friends that I
Right.
grew up with and stuff, we just have different visions. They're not bad people. Just because I'm
Right.
not hanging out with them anymore and because I'm not in Cleveland with them anymore, doesn't mean I don't like them, right? It doesn't mean we don't get along.
Mm-hmm.
We just have different visions now,
Yeah.
and that's okay, right? So I think that was the hardest part of it, the hardest pill to swallow, was accepting the fact that I'm not hanging with these guys anymore. I'm not spending that much time with them anymore. But it's not because they're bad people. They're great people. I love them to death. We
Mm-hmm.
just don't have the same vision,
Yeah.
right? And that's okay. It's okay, right? There's
Yeah.
no right or wrong answer with your vision. You just have to find what's yours and pursue it. And I found for me that this is my vision. This is what is best for me. So it was a no-brainer decision. Was it a hard pill to swallow? Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so. But it was a no-brainer decision. So actually making the move, yeah, of course I'm doing that, right?
One of the things that I know about you is that you were already training, like in like a facility, right? Like was it for soccer? Was it soccer specific, or was it just fitness specific?
So how I got into coaching was, it's like my senior year of high school. I started doing private soccer coaching with the guy that helped me. He was my trainer, my coach growing up. And he played professional indoor soccer, Antonio Manfoot. He moved down to Florida. He moved down to Florida too.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me to take over training his kids that he had up in Cleveland. So I did that for a few years. And I was an exercise science major when I was in school. and my parents are physical therapists. So I'd always been around human interaction, some kind of coaching. I'd always been around it my entire life. And then once I got to college, I got the internship working under who I mentioned earlier, Tim Robertson Jr. And that was where I was doing performance enhancement specialist with NFL, NBA, collegiate, high school athletes all across the board. And then after a year of that is when I got into personal training at Strong Style, which is where I was also doing the MMA jiu-jitsu at as well. So I was working there as a personal trainer while I was also fighting out of that gym as well. So in that time of my life where it was just the personal training, that's all it was, right? It was Gen Pop personal training. So my progression went from coaching private soccer lessons to doing performance enhancement in the internship as a freshman in college with, again, athletes across the board, and then moving into a Gen Pop personal training environment in a gym. Right? Then, of course, getting to the online form now.
So the reason that I'm asking is because, there's like a noticeable difference when I talked to you. Like, it was like, yeah, I was, working at this gym, was it giving guys programs, hooking them up on their program, to like, I'm working with Gabe and Jack and we're doing this thing, like your head went up, like shoulders back. It was like a physiological difference when you talked about like what you were kind of like doing, because you were still working that job before you left. So then when you started talking about the work that you were doing with Gabe and Jack, there was a noticeable change in your like in your voice, but also in your body when you talked about it. It was like I am like walking into what I'm supposed to be doing when I'm doing it with Jack. And I thought it was interesting because it was like you're still in the fitness space, so it wasn't like you were like in a cubicle and then going to be with Jack. I thought it was interesting because I was like, well, you're still in the fitness space, you're still doing that thing, but there was a difference. And so what in your mind was like the difference between doing it? Because it's like if I'm playing soccer here with this team, and I'm going over here with this team. That's kind of how I analogize it in my mind. I was like, well, what's going on here?
It's the approach. In a corporate gym facility where I was at, I love Strong Style. Like, this is not me bashing them at all. I love them. That's how I got my start. No. And I'm not bashing them at all. How we did it in a corporate setting is how you normally do it, right? It's a 30-minute to an hour session. You're doing weightlifting. You're going to talk about nutrition a little bit, and the client is on their way. And how we did it, we weren't responsible for client acquisition. They'd come in, we'd get assigned a client. You don't get to pick your clients or anything. It's just whoever you get. And so it's just a completely different approach, right? And it was very focused on the physical side of things, the training, the nutrition, where the approach that Jack, Gabe, and I take is more of a fitness psychology approach. I think, as we've discussed with you before in our own coaching calls with you, where not only, of course, we're going to do the physical transformation. That's great, right? Of course, we have these physical goals that we want to get to. But our approach is focused more on how does your life improve as a result of those changes, right? So it's, what is the real reason you want to do this? Yes, of course you want to look good. Of course you want to feel good. Of course you want to have confidence. Why? How does your life improve? Whether it be, hey, I haven't been on a date in 5 years. Hey, I don't have the confidence to approach a woman. Hey, I want to lead my family better. I want to set an example, right? It's about how your life improves. So the reframe of, yes, it's fitness coaching, but it's not, here's your workout, do your thing. It's how are we making your life better? And then additionally, taking it to a psychological approach, which I agree with more. Right? I agree with that. That is ultimately what is going on. The problem that we see with the current fitness industry is there's a lot of surface level solutions, whether it be a workout program, whether it be a fad diet, right? It's very surface level, right? Even in the personal training world, it's very surface level stuff. We're not getting to the root. The root is ultimately what's going on between the ears, right? It's the subconscious habits. We call it default actions. Yeah. That is the real problem. That is what is going on.
Love that.
Right? Yeah. Because it's true, right? It's 100% of what is happening.
Yeah.
If you fix what's going on between the ears, that is how you get results that aren't some BS weight loss challenge. It's a life transforming alteration that you go through.
I love that you guys do that, because I think it's something like by the time you're 8, you've kind of made a lot of like the decisions about who you are and what you're going to be by the time you're 8 years old.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. But then there's also like something like 90% of the decisions that you make daily, like you don't even think about them. They're just your defaults. So like if you've had a rough day, it's like, oh, I'm gonna get a beer, or I'm gonna, go to eat 8 scoops of ice cream. Like that's the default. It's like, okay, well, we gotta fix that. Taking care of the physical stuff. You know, it could be a temporary band-aid. Like you could like, because people go, you've probably seen this, right? People come in and they'll do really well for 3 months, and then they take off, and then they go right back to
Mm-hmm.
where they were at. It's like, man, you just kind of flush that thing down the toilet.
Yeah.
What your guys' approach is like, hey, look, we're not setting you up for 3 months. We're setting you up for 30, 40, 50 years. Like, like you said, leading your family, like leading a healthy lifestyle. And I love all the ice cream pics of you guys. That's like my
Oh,
favorite part. Like,
always.
you guys, you like the
Always.
ice cream. Like, you can get some ice cream, son, because that's me.
Oh man, yeah.
Uh, yeah. Like I try to limit my sugar to like 2 or 3 times a week, because
Yeah.
I'll be like, let me get down on some ice cream.
You should see the messages I get. It's like, dude, this has, what do you mean it's sugar free? It's got aspartame and this and that, and it's got seed oils and all this crap in my DMs that I get. And I'm like, man, there's so many bigger levers to pull before that,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's so
Yeah.
many bigger levers to pull. If you're worried about aspartame and stuff, you better look like a competition bodybuilder and then
Yeah.
start thinking about aspartame and all these sweeteners and stuff. There's
Yeah.
so many bigger levers to pull. The biggest one that we've always seen is obviously protein
Mm-hmm.
intake, as well as having a balanced diet. You can eat foods you enjoy. It
Yeah.
takes a little bit of number crunching, but that's it, right? Like you can eat the stuff that's tasty that you like,
Yeah.
right? You can go have a beer. It's
Yeah.
okay. It's just you have to be calculated and tactical about it. That's it.
Yeah, and that's something I think is really cool about you guys. It's like you're gonna get fit, you're gonna get taken care of, but also it's like, what's the point? What's the point of being like super fit if you're not enjoying the ride? Like you can't go hang out with your friends and have a beer.
Mhm.
Your kid's birthday party, you're not gonna have some
Can't
cake
eat
on
the
your
cake,
kid's
yeah.
your
Right.
kid's birthday party. Like, dude, like, oh, I can't do that. It's like, dude, you're not you're
You're a
not you're not
robot.
you're not weighing in for the prize fight. All right,
Hmm.
like you can't, like let's be serious. Most of us have like fake jobs, right? Like it's like you just push buttons on a computer. Like you don't need to do all this. I mean, if you look around too, it's like, you do see that like people are not taking care of themselves. So you appreciate somebody who's like, hey man, like watch what you're eating, because like
Hmm.
this stuff is not good for you. But it's like, dude, like if you're working out and you're doing your thing, like yeah, like go take your kids out and have some ice cream. Like that's a treat. Like I'll
Right.
do with my kids. Like, hey man, like I got 4th of July, I got some apple pie and ice cream. We got down on it. It's America,
Yeah.
baby. Let's do this. Like I don't. I feel no like
Yeah.
guilt around it. It's just like, hey, this is the day that I knew I was gonna be having some of it. So like I got down, warmed it up, boom, son, America.
Yeah.
So
100%. 100%.
but I also love, like, because I turned 40 this year, and like you guys influenced me too, because it's like, well, what's my next goal? And like my next goal is like, well, I want to be able to dance with my grandkids when I'm
Hmm.
older. And so like that's like because I used to be an athlete, and now it's like, well, like why am I going to exercise? Like what am I going to, like, for what? Like what's the point? So that gets me out of bed now. It's like, okay, I'm gonna go do my exercises. Like I don't feel like doing it today. Well, it's like, well, you want to be able to dance with your grandkids at their wedding. Okay. So like you guys, the young guys,
Hmm.
like I love you guys for like the influence that you guys have, like on me for stuff like that. Because it's just like, my wife always told me like, hey, like, I want you to work out because I want you to be healthy. Like I don't care what you look like, I just want you to be healthy. And like, you care what I look like, stop.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
don't
100. Yeah, so you've seen me
yeah,
post some stuff like that. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, she does. Yeah, she does.
Like stop.
Yeah.
We're not playing no games. We know what's going on. We know what's going on here.
I know
But
you don't
like,
like the
but
dad
she
bod.
does genuinely. She does want me to
Yeah.
take care of myself. And like, so like that wasn't enough to move me, like to be like, oh, like I'm gonna work out because she wants me to take care of myself. It was like, no, it had to be my own goal of like, no, I want to dance with my grandkids on their wedding day. That's the one that gets me. It'll be like, I don't feel like it. All right, let's go.
Yeah, 100%. And we're talking about like the nutrition stuff and focuses and how everybody's perception is all twisted. And the story I always use is I had a client and she had about 100 pounds to lose,
Hmm.
and she was struggling to get her water intake. And I asked
Mm-hmm.
her, why are you struggling with your water intake? And she's like, well, water doesn't taste good. I'm like, okay, let's do flavored water. And she goes, well, doesn't that have artificial sweeteners in it? And I was like, we don't need to worry about that yet. Like, we don't need to
Yeah.
worry about that right now. Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's a small lever, right? It's one of those things where you have really so much flexibility
Mm-hmm.
with fitness and with dieting and with nutrition, and you have so much freedom, right? You have so much freedom. You have to focus on big levers, right? This is what we
Yeah.
tell everybody, right? So if I can drop fitness wisdom on people, on your audience here, it's just focus on big levers, man. Like little stuff like that. Like if you're having some aspartame or you're having a little bit of seed oils, it's not the end of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's something that you don't need to worry about getting fine tuned until you're in such a good place that that's the next thing you can do, right?
I love that you did that because it really is meeting people at where they're at. Like you have
Yes.
100 pounds, you have 100 pounds to lose, and you are worried about sugar aspartame, which is valid.
Yeah.
But the more important thing is that we need you to drink water.
Yeah.
So like if I can do this thing to help you drink water, like that's gonna improve you a lot more than eliminating or
Yeah.
worrying about the sugar and then you not
Yeah.
getting the water at all or not
Exactly.
or not enough.
Exactly.
Um, and I think like your experiences are pretty have prepared you for this because like you went from like it sounds like high level athletes
Mhm.
to Gen Pop. Like that's gonna be hard for
It's
a guy
different.
like you because like it's like you're like let's go baby and like the NFL players are like or
Yeah.
the athletes are like well what do you got give it to me
Yeah.
and then and then and then you have Gen Pop
Yeah.
who like probably never did anything and like it's a different let's go it's like come on man let's go like
Yeah.
oh
Speaking a
so it's
lot more
cool that
responder
it's
there.
cool it's cool that you have like those two kind of like experiences like hey I've gone with the high level athletes but I've also been with like the you know people who sit and watch Netflix and are trying to improve themselves but the approach has got to be way different on the front end because like you're dealing with people who kind of know their body who've pushed themselves who know what that's like um, and it's a lot of fun, right? Like it's a lot of fun to be with somebody who can push themselves. It's like, all right, let's see how much meat you can take. Um, to somebody who is like, all right, like I've never done this before, so please don't hurt me.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I think the thing that you'll appreciate is you're speaking a lot more responder with Gen Pop. There's a lot
Mm-hmm.
more, hey, I get it. It's okay. Like we can do
Uh-huh.
these things, but there's a lot more of that talk versus with a higher level athlete, even collegiate athletes too. It's like, bro, you got to get it together. Like,
Mm-hmm.
let's go. Right. And so it's totally different approaches. And exactly what you said is meeting people where they're at. Right? That is, in my opinion, the ultimate tell of how good a coach is your ability to meet people where you're at. Right. You're not sticking people into your system and hoping it works. You're adjusting your system to help them,
Mm-hmm.
get the results that they hired you to do. Right. You have to adjust to them. You have to make it personal and you have to fit it to what their needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Because everybody's need is different. I had another
Yeah.
client, he was 400 something pounds and he was coming off of COVID. He was bedridden when he started.
Yeah. Yeah.
Literally, his workouts. You think I'm gonna have him doing deadlifts and power cleans and crap? No, dude. I told him go walk up and down your stairs 10 times a day.
Yeah.
Do it for a month.
Yeah.
He did that, and that alone, 20 pounds down. Boom, just like that,
Yeah.
right? So it's
Yeah.
you have to always be willing to meet people where they're at. It's simplification, right?
Yeah.
Anytime you make it a complex system for people, they're going to struggle, right?
Yeah.
So it has to be as simple as possible, as minimal effort and sacrifices you can have, and that's going to help them succeed, right? It's going to help them succeed. And of course, like you're saying, the broad spectrum I've had, which I didn't realize at the time, I truly believe I had all these experiences in the past. I know how you feel. I know you know how I feel about faith, right? God gave me all these experiences in the past to put me to where I am now. Whether it be working with 5-year-olds and teaching them how to dribble a soccer ball,
Mm-hmm.
you have to communicate differently with a 5-year-old,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it be a 25-year-old defensive player of the year NFL candidate,
Mm-hmm.
right? I have to communicate differently with him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whether it be, you know, whoever, Janice, who's 46 and a soccer mom, I have to communicate different with her. Right. So all of these experiences that I had leading up into this point, where it's Default Kings, it's our business, Jack, Gabe, and me, and our clientele. All of those experiences before were what prepared me to do this to the best of my ability. 100%. I have zero doubts in my mind that God gave me those experiences to be able to
Mm-hmm.
apply to what I'm doing now. Right.
And it's a hard thing to going through it, right? Especially like if you're, let's just say like on the front end, I would like to be with the NFL guys, right? Because it's just like, they're high level and like high level. You want to be with that, and then to go to like, oh, now like I was doing these crazy workouts with this guy, and now I'm over here telling them basically to walk the stairs. Like, man, like that's it has to be a challenge. But when you realize that it's like, hey, God put me through these things so I can learn how to communicate with these people at different levels, and it prepared me for this opportunity now, where I have, where I'm building $1 million a year business. Like, oh, I see what that was for now. Like, you were preparing me. Like, it wasn't punishment. Like, I thought it sucked, but now I can look on those experiences as as like training and education. So then when I go through the next thing, it's like, okay, God, you're putting me through this because you want me to learn something. So I can now, because I had that experience, now when I'm going through a tough spot or something like I'm not like happy with, like you're trying to teach me something. So I can go through it with that attitude in mind. And then I just wanted to go back and kind of uh, say, because you had mentioned responder. So like I coach life languages. Responder is one of the languages that's a feeling language, and so it's a language that needs to be heard, understood, and accepted. And so those people, what Joey was mentioning, that was like a higher population. That was like their primary language. Whereas like the NFL guys, they're probably speaking a different language where you can be a lot more direct with them. So when you have somebody who's a high responder, the being direct sometimes can put them off. So having to Joey speaks that language, but also like is not one of his like primary languages. So being able to speak those languages, that's kind of what he's referring to. Just for the audience, because I don't usually
I
talk
wasn't
about
sure if
that.
they knew or not. I was like,
Yeah, I
I'm
don't.
going to say it, but I don't know if
Yeah,
they know.
yeah. But so just
Yeah.
just for reference, but I appreciate it, man. But
Mhm.
but yeah, like all those things are preparing you. And when you have that perspective, like it's just gonna continue to help you out, and like whatever you do, it's like, this is a tough time, this kind of sucks, but what am I gonna learn from it? And then being able to kind of pull back and be like, what can I learn? Because I mean, everybody goes through that, right? Like everybody has to take jobs that suck. Like it's kind of part of life, or seasons that suck in some way. What can I learn? Like I was just talking to an age survivor. His son had cancer, right? Like that was really really hard. And then but he was able to have that perspective that you had. Like, this is what I learned. I learned these things about God. I understand God now more because of that. Like he said that on the podcast. I was like, damn. Like most people would be like feeling really sorry for themselves. He was able to take out those nuggets. That's preparing him for something else. Same thing with you. I was working with these other populations. It helped me to learn to speak to these different demographics that if I hadn't, like, because you guys get probably mostly men, right? No, you get women too.
Yeah.
You said.
We'll get a women here and there. It's like 95 or 96% men.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's generally our population. I think the big thing too is through all of those experiences, I knew it was preparation, right? Even another job I didn't even mention that I had was working in the physical therapy field with elderly population.
Oh
Everybody
yeah.
in there is 70 plus again, and they're
Yeah.
all coming off surgeries. So what can
Yeah.
I do with them? It's, hey,
Yeah.
let's learn how to walk with a cane, right? So
Yeah.
it's like the vast array of stuff for me from a coaching perspective. Because of all that, now it's like, throw whatever curveball you want at me, bro. I'm ready.
That's
you know,
that's
and
funny because like I
yeah,
have limited physical experience, or
yeah,
like basically like playing football. So it'd be like, if I was a trainer, it'd be like, hey, this person just came off of surgery. They're
Mhm.
75 years old. Let's do some butt kickers. Let's go start off on some butt kickers. It's like,
yeah,
dude, what are you doing? Like,
yeah,
she can't walk.
right,
She's 75. Like, what are you gonna do?
yeah,
Let's do some butt kickers. They should be able to do that, right?
yeah,
Everybody can
and
do butt kickers.
100%. Those are all experiences too. Like in the moment, it's like any job that is temporary in your mind. They were all framed as temporary positions in my mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it's like, okay, this is cool. At first, you're always really excited, right? At first, I'm like, yeah, let's go, new job, let's do this thing, new
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
Then you kind of get to the middle, and you're like, do I like this?
Yeah, yeah,
No.
yeah.
And then at the end, towards the end of it, it's like, I can't wait, right? I cannot wait to get out, right? And I think that's a natural progression that happens. And I think ultimately, no matter what the population has been, it's always been measured in my mind by impact.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like my client that I told you about that was going up and down the stairs,
Yeah.
he was so grateful.
Mm-hmm.
He was so grateful.
Yeah.
Right. So that impact, even though it's completely different than working with an NFL athlete, right?
Right.
The impact on him,
Mm-hmm.
the impact on Gym Pop, the impact on the guys that we work with now with our approach, where it's, yes, we're doing fitness. Yes, we're transforming your body, but it's ultimately how your life improves. That level of impact is what's
Mm-hmm.
powerful, right? That's the most powerful thing. Because what was eye-opening to me when I was working with higher level athletes, even collegiate athletes, is these guys are showing up late for workouts and stuff. And
Mm-hmm.
these are $1 million athletes. They're showing up late to your workouts, and maybe they're not super responsive to the things you're telling them to do.
Yeah.
Maybe the report's not there. And it's like, bro, really?
Yeah.
Versus somebody like that, like the client I mentioned before, where it's,
Yeah.
his life was on the line. He had to fight for his life. And now he's coming
Mm-hmm.
back and he's going up stairs again.
Mm-hmm.
Or even the elderly population, they're coming off surgery. They didn't know if they're going to be able to walk because they got their hip replaced.
Yeah.
Now they can walk again. That impact is so much greater in my mind, right? And so even the clients we're working with now, where it's a guy will come to us and they're completely broken and they leave
Mm-hmm.
and their life has changed. Like, not just, hey, I got in better shape. Thanks, Joey, Jack, and Gabe.
Yeah.
It's, hey, Joey, Jack, and Gabe, I got a raise. I got this new job. I got a girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
My wife and I saved our marriage. Right? Like,
Yeah.
the impact is so high, right? And that's always been my calling to working with people. Right? How can I leave it as positive as an impact on them as possible? Because that is how I measure, in my mind, success with our company. It's, how do we leave as positive as an impact as possible on as many people as possible?
And that's a lot of fun. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I understand what you're saying, because it's like, yeah, you can come in here and you can lose 20 pounds, or you can get down to, like, 18% body fat or whatever. You have the measurable quantitative goals. But there's nothing like, hey, I I didn't have the energy to play with my kids, and now, like, when the kid says, "Hey, let's go throw the ball around, or let's go shoot some hoops," like, I have the energy now to get up and go do those things. Like, I've impacted those. Like, those are things that, like you wouldn't probably, like, maybe wouldn't sell the program, but that's like the actual reason why you do the thing. That's the actual reason why you do it. Like, I'm trying to sell you on dropping 20 pounds, but I really want you to find those other goals of, like, oh, I'm confident now enough to ask a girl out on a date, which is like a big it's a big thing now for a lot of men now, right? It's like they're not confident enough to ask a girl out on a date. I remember when I asked my wife out, I was nervous, but I mean, it was kind of normal still. But I think now, there's probably less of that, right? Like, a lot of guys are just not afraid to put themselves out there to ask. And you think, from what you've seen, is that a lot of it starts physical. It's like, hey, like, I know that I haven't really taken care of myself, so I can't ask out the hot girl. Or, like, what are you seeing?
Absolutely. It's the idea of ownership as well. Who are you, right? Who are you as a man? A big thing that I see a lot of now that I always squash when I see it is, oh, there's no quality women now. Nah, bro, it's you.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not quality, of course there's not quality women around.
Yeah.
And when you accept that reality, when you accept the true reality that you attract what you put out, and you take action to change that, just taking the action will give you the confidence, because you're taking steps towards getting to that point where I am quality. I do attract quality women, right? And of course, the gateway is the body.
Yeah.
That's the gateway. If you walk by the mirror and you go, "Damn, I look good."
Yeah.
Right? Think about how that translates, right?
But it's easy for you though, Jack. You're 6'8", jacked and handsome.
Yeah.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
What about
I'm 6'8",
what about the rest of us who are not 6'8", jacked
Oh,
and
yeah.
handsome? And for the record, Joey is handsome. Like this is come out audio, so you won't see it, but the man is handsome. Golly,
Oh,
Florida, look out.
means a lot coming from you, bro. Look at that hair. Look at that hair. The hair, the beard, man. But dude, 100%, 100%, right? The gateway is the physical side of things. If you can look at yourself and feel good, and you can hold that belief in your mind, something that we put this in content all the time, we talk about it in coaching all the time, is if you can hold that belief in your mind and give yourself proof about that belief, I am confident. Well, why would I be confident? Well, because I've taken action to become that.
Mm-hmm.
I've lost the weight. I put on muscle. Now I'm dressing better. Now I'm learning how to speak. I've taken action that proves to myself that I am confident. So you can hold that belief in your mind in any situation that you need it. Right? You continue to build those beliefs in yourself. This goes for anything. I mean, business, fitness, life, communication, etc. You hold beliefs about yourself, it directly translates to your actions. So if you believe that you are confident, you're going to execute on that, right? Whether it be with women, whether it be with whatever, right?
I think what's cool about what you said is that you've actually built it. Like there was a whole like self-esteem movement. It's like, oh, like feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
But you have to give yourself like you know when you're lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Like So you have to give yourself you have to like almost like give yourself things as stepping stones to prove it. Like so like you want to be, get jacked or whatever. Like the first step, like, okay, let me lose 10 pounds. And then you can look in the mirror and be like, oh, like I look different because I lost 10 pounds. And then you use that as a stepping stone to like lose the next 10 pounds or to like increase your weight, your strength or whatever to do that whole thing. But like you have to actually give yourself the stepping stones in your mind to be like, oh yeah, I did that thing. Or like, yeah, I look in the mirror and it's like, I look a lot better now than I did 3 months ago. Like I've dropped, X amount of weight, my body fat. It's like, I can see the difference. Like you can't self-esteem your way without doing that work and proving it to yourself that you actually did it. Like all that stuff matters. Like, and that's why you guys' program is so important, because it's like they're gonna help walk you through so you can prove it to yourself. Like, yeah, that you can do this. Like it's not a fake. It's not a fake confidence if you've actually done the work and it's like you've actually changed. Like that's actual fact. Now you can give yourself that. Now you can like one of my favorite stories is the story of David and Goliath. So before David fights Goliath, the king is like, you're like a young man. Why are you going to fight Goliath? He's a giant. He's killed a lot of men. And he said that I killed a lion and I killed the bear before this. And he's going to be just like that. So he hadn't fought a giant before, but he had the confidence because he had killed wild animals before and he was using that. And so that's like the same thing here. Like, hey, I won these battles before. Now I'm going to win this battle and I'm going to be able to have the confidence to ask that girl out, to, whatever it is else that like guys come to you for, because I did this program. I was able to do these things here. And so now I can go ahead and ask that girl out and be confident that I'm going to get the date, because why wouldn't I was able to do these things back here.
There's nothing fake about belief, right? I hammer this all the time. We always hammer this. There is nothing fake about belief. And just like you're saying, innately, subconsciously, whether or not that belief you hold is bogus or it's real. In order to make it a real belief that you hold, not just some fugazi confidence, you have to believe that you're confident. You have to give yourself proof. Exactly what you're saying with the David and Goliath story, right? You have to give yourself proof that belief is real. With our guys, whether that be the confidence from crushing their workouts, crushing their nutrition, changing their default actions, eliminating the porn, the alcohol, the weed, eliminating the Netflix binging, whatever it may be that's holding them back. When you've given yourself proof, that is when that belief becomes ingrained as real. And there's nothing fake about a real belief. There's nothing fake about it. Right? If you believe it, your actions will 100% of the time reflect it. So in order to build that belief, you have to consistently give yourself proof that it is true. Right? And when you do that, the sky is the limit, right?
That's dope, man. What when you get like most of your guys that come in and ask for coaching, like what are a lot of them coming for? Like you had mentioned, like big time health issues and like
Mhm.
wanting to date. Is that like the two big ones that you kind of come across when you're somebody's wanting to get coached by you guys?
We've narrowed it down to three things. The first one being the body, right? They want to feel good, of course.
Mm-hmm.
They want to look good. They want to have that for themselves, of course. So it's the body. The second one is women, whether it be they're single and they're looking for a relationship and they need the confidence, or they're struggling with approaching women, or they're in a relationship and maybe they're insecure with their girlfriend or their wives, or their marriage is going through it, right? Something revolving women and their relationships with women. So
Mm-hmm.
body, women, and then the third one that we see is money, right? They want to make more money, right? They want to start their business. They're in sales and they want to close at a higher percentage. So if they get the body, they get the confidence, their close rate's going to go up, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's body, it's women, and it's money are the things that we've narrowed it down to for guys about why they want to make this transformation, right? And it seems so obvious because those are generally, for speaking for men, it's like those are all status measurers,
Yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
How do you look? What do the women you talk to look like? How much money do you make? The big status drivers,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it makes sense, right? When we narrowed it down to that, and it's literally every guy we work with is one of those things,
That's interesting.
right? And
The
it's so
money one is
funny.
kind of interesting to me too,
Mm-hmm.
but it makes sense when you said it.
Yeah.
But like that one kind of caught me off guard. I was like, oh, money really? Like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or they want to they want to get out of their 9 to 5, but they don't have the confidence to develop an exit strategy and tell their boss to kick rocks.
Mm-hmm.
They need the confidence, right? They want to build their own business, but they don't even feel good about how they look in the mirror. How are they going to put in their 2 weeks and build their 9 to 5 or build
Yeah.
their own
Business.
business, right? Like it's so transferable. I mean, I can't tell you how many guys we've had that are sales guys that they come in
Mm-hmm.
and literally 1 month in, they've had their highest commission month or their highest close because they
Mm-hmm.
feel so good. They have the confidence, they have the beliefs, right? So again, it was funny when we narrowed it down because it's like, well, that makes sense. Of course,
Yeah.
it's status. Men are
Yeah.
status driven, and those are all three very big indicators of status. So of course, it makes sense that those are all the reasons that they want to do the things that they're doing with us, right?
Well, the things that they are status, like,
Mm-hmm.
but they are things that make you feel like good,
Yeah,
like hey,
exactly.
your
Yeah.
body feels like you like I've felt like good in my body, and I've felt like not good in my body,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like and like being an athlete, like what it feels like. It feels like to feel like good in your body. So when you feel bad, it's like, oh yeah, like this
Right.
is not good. When you're like crushing it with your your wife or whatever, it's like, oh yeah, like you feel like a champ. And
Mm-hmm.
if you're making money, like champ. So that's like when you guys say kings, like that's if you think about most men, healthy men, like healthy in mind, like if they're crushing those things, they feel like kings. Like yeah, like my body feels good. I can play with my kids. I can take my shirt off at the pool and not be a big deal. Like I feel like a king. Um, you know, my either I'm in a relationship and I'm like I don't feel like, oh, like she's kind of like coming down to be with me. Like I'm not
That's a big
insecure.
one.
Like I feel like a king. Like like I don't know. I never felt insecure being with a pretty girl because I was like, well, yeah, I'm with a pretty girl. Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
I be with one? Like, so like, but to feel like she might leave you because you don't have you're not taking care of yourself. Like, yeah, I could see like you feel like you don't feel like a king. So you're making your money, yeah. Like, so it sounds obvious about stature, but it's like, yeah, like those are things that make a man feel like he's on top of the world. Those three things would make a man feel like he's on top of the world. And
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that you guys, I love that about you guys because you guys like dissect your business and figure out like who is coming in, how can we help them, and how can we keep pushing them towards the things that they want.
Always. It always comes back to who do you best serve? Right? Who do we serve best?
Mm-hmm.
Narrowing down who our avatar is, who it is that we want to work with. Who do we serve best and why do we serve them best? What do we deliver to them that makes them love us and makes them happy with the service? Right? What do we deliver? And we're constantly dissecting that. Right? We're constantly dissecting that because if you know those things, if you know who it is you deliver the best results to, if you know what results you deliver, you know how to market it to as many people as possible and change as many lives as possible. Because that's who you best serve, right? You narrow it down, right? So if you don't have that, how do you know how to advertise your business or grow your business or like you have to know those things, right?
Have to. That's good, man. Are you guys have any kind of like special programs coming up for Default Kings, or you guys kind of run or right now anything new coming down the pike for you guys?
We're running our high ticket offer is our Kingmaker program, right? Our coaching service that we deliver. Something that is in the pipeline that this will be the first time it's publicly shared is we're looking to create
exclusive. Hold on,
right,
we got the exclusive. Right? Reach your keys. Here we go.
Hit the breaking news button. Hit it. I'm not sure on the timeline for this, but we're looking to develop a smaller ticket offer subscription based service that is community based, probably like a Discord group or something like that. Right. So we're looking to bring that to the table because we also realize that there's an opportunity to still impact lives at a lower ticket. Maybe it's a younger guy that is still in school and he can't afford high ticket coaching.
Yeah.
How can we still serve these guys? Right. So that's something that is in the works. So that's the first public announcement. So hit the breaking news button, right? But again, that is something that is in the pipeline for us. And we're not sure on the timeline yet, but it's absolutely something that will be on the Twitter feed on the timeline here in the near future. So that's absolutely something that's coming down the line for us.
I wanted to ask something kind of from when we first started talking. You and your buddy had talked about like online business. Is that something that like all the college students now talk about, like building like either like an online brand or like an online business? Because like I said, like internet was still new when I was in school.
Yeah.
So it's like interesting, like to me, like to hear about like what dating is like, or like, you know, like I was talking to Rooms and she built her business online, but like hearing you and your buddy talk about it, I was like, oh, like is this something that like a lot of college students now talk about? It's like, hey, we're in our dorm, we're messing around, like let's build an online, let's build something. Is that something that you kind of ran across a lot in the when you were in college, in the kind of, you know, when you were at a party or whatever, like people, was it something that people would talk about?
I think there's a lot of talk. There's not a lot to do. Right? Like everybody's like, oh yeah, of course I want to start an online business. Okay. Do it, bro.
Yeah.
Right. So I think there's a lot of, I think you're right. Like there's a lot of talk about it, especially in the digital age that my generation is a part of. The opportunity to make money, it's never been easier. It's never, ever been easier to make money because of the access to technology, especially from a young age. Like one of my best friends, Matt Moore, who you met in Arizona, dude, he's 19 and he's running his own business. He's 19.
Crazy.
He's 19. Like
looks like he's
right?
25 with that mustache.
I know, right? He does. Right? And so younger guys and girls, right? The opportunity is so blatantly obvious that it seems impossible to not at least have the thought run through your mind at some point. What can I sell? What business can I build? And what can I offer people to make money? Or even if to them it's a side hustle, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Like it's so glaringly obvious that the potential to do it is there that it seems implausible to think that it's never talked about. I think it's probably talked about a ton. That was my only buddy that I ever talked about it with. But I feel like it is talked about a lot. But again, you have to do. Right? And maybe 1% of the people that ever talk about it actually do something about it consistently, and not just do it for a stint, right? Do it for a few months, fail and call it a day. I'm saying do it. Right? Do it. Like it's been 18 months of doing it to where now it's finally, for me, full-time gig, right?
Yeah.
Like it takes time, man. You have to eat crap for a while, right? Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say, I told you I'm trying my best not to cuss today.
No, I know. And then I'm the one that did it.
Yeah. You have to eat shit for a while. You do.
I told you. You can say what you need to say, my man.
Yeah, right.
Say what you need to say. Say it with your chest.
Yeah. And I think the benefit that I had going through the process of eating shit was the fact that Alex from Closify, who had already built his own business, told me from the very beginning, it is going to be 12 to 24 months before you see anything tangible. So I was braced. I don't think if I had that bracing, maybe I would have fallen into the category of people that ate the shit for six months or so and was like, okay, I'm over it. But I was braced, right? And I saw what he was doing, and I knew it was possible, right? So I
love
knew
that you said that
real.
because that does set the expectation, right? Because it's like you're digging, and it's just like, dude, like, why am I not not even killing it, but like, why is there nothing coming in? Because I think the same thing, Jack and Gabe had said the same thing, that they they went like 8 or 9 months
16,
or
16,
more.
0.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
like hauling trash and
Hmm.
going to exotic locations for shoots and getting nothing out of it. It's
Yeah.
like it's funny, but like now it's funny, but it's like, dude, that really like was painful
Oh
at the
yeah.
time. Like, dude, we just dropped all this money and we got nothing out of it.
Yeah.
Like you can laugh now because you're killing it, but damn, like
Hmm.
that's some pursuit of happiness kicked in the nuts
Hmm.
type stuff. Oh man, but I also like that you framed that because I was talking to somebody and he was like, oh, I'm having my second kid, and I was like, hey, it's not 1 plus 1, it's like 1 plus 100. It's like way harder going from one kid to two kid. Because when I had my second kid, I got my ass kicked, man. Like I had no idea, like I had no clue. Like I was like it wasn't until like a few days before like my son was born that someone was like, "Oh, it's like way harder." And I was like, "What do you mean it's way harder? It's
You
one
were
more
like, oh
kid." Like,
god.
yeah, and it was like, so there was really like no bracing of like, oh, like it's gonna be like way harder going from one to two. Like I was gonna be done at two. I got 5 kids now, so I was almost gonna be done at two because it was like I had no clue. But that bracing that your friend Alex, shout out to Alex for that, because
Yeah.
that really helps out. It's like, hey man, this is not gonna be like, hey, you put it out your offer and in like 3 weeks money start collecting checks. It's like no, it's
So
12 to
hard. Yeah.
24 months. It's like, oh, okay, like thank you. Like that was probably actually one of like the nicest things. Like whatever else society did for you, I'm sure it was helpful. But that might have been actually one of the best things that he might have told you is like, hey, it's gonna be about this timeline.
Yeah. 100%. Right. 100%. And I think something that I've seen float around the entrepreneur timeline in Twitter is the fact that entrepreneurship and starting a business is the best self-help project you can ever do.
Mm-hmm.
Because as an entrepreneur, the bottleneck is always you and your skill
Yep.
set.
Mm-hmm.
It's always you, right? If the company's stalling, if something's not working, it's because of a lack of skills that you have.
Mm-hmm.
It's 100% always you. So you are forced constantly, time and time again, to get better. How do I get
Mm-hmm.
better? Why is this not working? It's because of me. I know it's because of me. Even if I'm
Uh-huh.
frustrated and I want to point the finger and it's like, oh,
Yeah.
this client didn't do what I said,
Uh-huh.
right? No, it's your fault,
It's
bro.
your
It's your
fault.
fault. It's
Yes.
your fault. No matter how angry or how much you feel like it's not on you, it is. As an entrepreneur, you are always the bottleneck. So you are forced to continually develop skills and you're constantly assessing what your weaknesses are as obviously an entrepreneur, but as a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
What, like, think we did communication coaching with you.
Yep.
What do we learn? It's like, we should probably speak more responder, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it's constantly finding what your bottleneck is as a person and your skill sets. And that is why entrepreneurship, building a business, it ages you. I feel like I've been aged a decade, right? It ages me, right? I feel like I'm aged a decade because I had to go through all this. I had to realize, like, what do I suck at as a person, as a business owner? Like, where do I suck? And I'm constantly reviewing that.
Mm-hmm.
Jack, Gabe, and I were always asking each other, what can I do better as an entrepreneur? I
Mm-hmm.
get a text from Jack and Gabe every couple of weeks. It's like, Joey, what do you think I can do better?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why it's so good, because
Mm-hmm.
you're in a constant state of reflection.
Yeah.
And
That
so
sounds
it
it sounds
truly
a lot of
does.
fun, but I love the phrase though, like I am the bottleneck. Like it's just
Yeah,
like, yeah,
you
it is
are.
it is like this is not working. Yeah,
Yeah,
because of me. It's like and that's tough.
yeah,
And I, what you said about like aging yourself, it's because you're really going through all the failures yourself, and you're it's your responsibility. Like I've worked at a big corporation, and so it was always like, well, I wasn't the bottleneck because it was like it's like
yeah.
there's not a lot to learn there. So I love that you guys are just doing this now, because like I see this like you doing this for yourself, but when you have your family, like, well, guess what? Young little Joey is gonna run his own business however he sees fit, and I think that's good. I think that's good for our country, that we don't have men that go work at big corporations, that we start our own things and do our own things and be self-sufficient. So because I was trained to be an employee, and I've been one for a long time, and so I recognize that like there is a fear for me to go from doing what I'm doing now, being able to provide, to go do it on my own. But it's like, well, I got to do it for my kids because I don't want the same thing. And I love that you're doing that now, because by the time you know, by the time you're at that point where you're having your family, your kids, like it's gonna be natural for your young little Joey and Joeyettes to be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do my own lemonade stand and do all this thing. It's gonna be super natural for them because like I saw my daddy do it, like, and that's huge.
Yeah, and you're applying it to the family scene too, and it's true, right? That idea of just complete ownership, that you are the bottleneck, it applies across the board. That's why it is a entrepreneurship, business ownership is a self development journey because it applies everywhere, right? Business applies across the board, relationships, family, whatever, right? Those skills that you're fixing as an entrepreneur to run your business better are going to improve your life 100%. 100%. And if you can have that frame in your mind that you are the bottleneck, it is your fault, it's your responsibility, you have to get better. If you can frame that to any aspect of life, you're going to constantly improve. Anytime I've ever had those hard conversations with myself or Jack, Gabe and I have had it amongst each other as business partners, where it's like, this is where we need to get better. There's always, always been better results because of fixing it. Always, every time. And so that's a frame of mind that obviously I take to business, but I take it to life too. That you are the bottleneck, man. You have to get better. Right? We were talking about earlier, oh, there's no high quality women. Well, you're probably not high quality, bro. You're the bottleneck, right? So
Oof.
it's 100%. And nobody wants to hear it because it's very hard. It's very hard to sit there and look yourself in the face and go, damn, I need to do better. It's a hard conversation to have. Now, I've had the conversation with myself so many times that it's not hard. Like, I'm going to be like, yep, it's my fault. Yep. So quick, right? I'm so quick to pull the trigger. Oh, it's on me. It's me, right? Because I've had it a million times.
That's my bad.
Yeah, because I've had the conversation. But when you're first starting to do that and take that ownership and take that mindset, it's hard to have those conversations with yourself. But once you've done it 10, 20, 30, 40 times, hundreds of times, it's very easy to be like, okay, I just need to do better.
That's I think, an amazing place to kind of finish off right there, man.
Yeah.
You are the bottleneck. Like that's yeah, that's outstanding, brother. So they can find you on Twitter at Joey Yochheim. Yochheim.
Yeah, you got it. You got it now.
Yeah, buddy.
You nailed it.
Yochheim at Joey Yochheim, COO of Default Kings. Is there anywhere else where they can find you? I mean, you're handsome. You're probably on Instagram, right?
I am on Instagram. It's the same username. I'm getting back into the Instagram game. We're going. We're gonna dabble in the Instagram game here soon. We're gonna dabble in it, Jack, Gabe, and I. We're getting there. So you can find it. It's the same username on Instagram if you want to go for the visuals.
My man, I love talking to you, man. I'm glad you were able to come on to the show, and this will come out. Yeah, everybody, thanks so much for enjoying the show. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Thank you for having me, man. Love you, bro.